Every time I think of Colin, I think of something happy. He was a happy guy. No matter how down I would get, working at the White House in particular, he always had a smile. He always had a Marine thing to say, and I could get my mind off whatever troubles I thought I had. He's just a wonderful friend, a wonderful father. Talked about his boys, the little Vikings, all the time. Of course, Fanny all the time. We had that in common as well, you know, both close family men. Just a wonderful guy.
Where's Daddy?
That's Daddy.
Oh.
He was honest, he was true, he was patriotic, he loved his family most, he loved his country, he loved his God. He was a man of his word. And I know that had he lived to raise his children, he would want them to have those same core values, to love their family, take care of their family. The boys should love each other the way he loved his siblings. And remember that in the end, the most important thing is who you love and the fact that you give. Colin was a giver. He was not a taker. He never asked for anything in return for his love.
Well, every memory of Colin is big. He wasn't just a big man, he had the biggest heart. I got to know many Secret Service agents, of course, while I was at the White House, but none that affected me and so many others the way that Colin did, because we didn't just feel safe. We felt there was just the warmest human being as our friend when he was around us, and so I have many memories of Colin that all of them lift me up when I think of them.
A dad doesn't know it when a child is young, what they're going to turn out to be. But there is something instilled in this man as a servant. Not for many years here, but what he did with dignity, he did with honor. He is one of my heroes. It's supposed to be the other way around. But I give thanks for him.
I remember Colin as big and imposing, always in a good mood, always doing a good job, very excited about his work, very determined, and sometimes very vocal. But Colin was just a great, I think a great dad and a great husband, and also just a great employee for the Secret Service. I really enjoyed having him as part of the service, and I'm very heartbroken that he's no longer with us.
Colin's mission was to make believers, and he did. In 9 nieces and nephews and 2 adorable sons, he left countless notes and drawings to all of us, especially to his wife Fanny and to his little family, with all the same messages of his love and his faith.
Even though, you know, he was such a big guy and filled the room, that he made you feel like you were the only person in the room. And what I, loved about Colin, or at least one of the things, is that he cared so much about other people. He made you feel special. And I think that was part of who he was, why he was in the job he was in, why he did what he did, because he was all about, in a lot of ways, serving others.
There wasn't a single day from the time that we were at training until he could no longer do it where we would greet each other and say goodbye to each other with a hug. We loved each other, we respected each other, and that bond will always be there. We We used to always say that we were battle buddies, and we'd stay back to back with one another through any hard time.
Character, competence, and compassion. And I can't think of anybody else who fits that bill more than Colin. He also knew how to have fun. He treated everybody with respect, and he never, ever, ever gave up.
And he said, I'm not going to ask why. He said, I'm going to wonder how. And what he meant by saying that was, I'm not going to fall into the usual trap of saying, hey, why did bad things happen to good people? I'm going to ask, how will God use this disease? God is higher, positionally, distance-wise. God has a plan. We as people here in North may not know that plan. Colin understood and accepted that. And so the question was not why me. The question was, how will God use this?
He was larger than life, but he also had a heart that was huge. One of my favorite memories of Colin is when we would ride into town from Maryland. Colin would always take the lead, and he would stop traffic on Canal Road. And he would just stop and turn his bike sideways and then put his hand up. And everybody would stop. And I think they stopped because they weren't sure if he was law enforcement or if they thought that hitting him was going to do great damage to their car.
And how excited he was for everybody's good news is one of the things that I fondly remember about him.
All those many years sacrificing for this agency, but then on top of that, he was part of the military. And as such, in the number of years that he spent, I've walked around, I see the Captain America symbols, I see all of the other hero symbols, and his selfless sacrifice was something that did make him a hero.
His personality was just, so upbeat and friendly that no matter where I was, no matter what he was doing, he would always take a second to acknowledge you and say hello. And that to me was a huge thing because, not a lot of times you find someone that takes a second just to pause, no matter what they're doing. And even if he's at work, he would just, he was with General Kelly or whoever, he would, if he saw you, he might not say anything to you, but he would nod his head at you in acknowledgement. So he was such a nice man. He radiated friendship to everybody.
He was strong, he was a warrior, he was a protector, but he also was a man of God. He was God's warrior, and is now over us. He's watching over us, making sure we do right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Shoulder.